Bum, 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 bum. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for tuning in today. I am the sports trader. My name is John Tedora, and I'm one of the first podcasters in America. I'll tell you a little bit about that here in a second, but I'd like to thank you all for listening to the show today. If you're watching us on YouTube, hey, what's up, man? Just started this YouTube channel to go along with the podcast as a complimentary thing here. Hoping to get some huge followers on here. Today we're going to be talking about lots of good stuff. There's some great things going on in South Korea, which are somewhat interesting to most of you guys out there. We'll also be talking about the Major League Baseball decision that they're going to be making pretty soon. I got some great uplifting news from a former football player, and we're going to touch on LeBron versus Jordan because, hell, no one talks about that, right? If you're a first-time listener to the podcast, let me tell you what we do. We talk about sports. That's right. We live sports, we love sports, and we make a ton of money from sports. Now, during the podcast shows, we like to talk about sports. We like to talk about the things that are happening in sports. We like to talk about the things that are going on in sports that have to do with money, the financial side of sports. I love that aspect of it. If you love data-driven content, if you love to talk about how much money somebody made, how much different deals, and if you love to talk about like sports in general, this is probably the channel for you. Also, if you love and if you're interested in learning more about sports trading, which is what I do, of course, I am the sports trader. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can stick around and do that today because I'm going to be delving into some of the aspects of sports trading. Now, if you're out there and it's your first time listening and you're thinking to yourself, what is sports trading? I'll break it down to you very easily. I trade sports just like you trade stocks. And if you don't trade stocks and you have no idea what I'm doing, I'm sorry, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, it's basically a form of, I use the markets that people use to gamble in, and I turn them into investment markets. And there's a system of doing it called Score Metrics. You can learn a lot more about it by listening to the show because I do go into details all the time here, and by visiting my website, which is sportstradingsystems.com. If you can't remember it, it's literally on the screen for you guys on the YouTube channel, and at home it is sportstradingsystems.com. Go there, look around, you'll find some cool stuff, and you'll probably be entertained along the way. We'll probably touch on it as we continue the show. Now, let me just tell you a little something about me. I do want to apologize to you guys. I'm a studious, conscientious person. I try to keep the show on somewhat of a schedule. Not somewhat of a schedule. I actually do it Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I apologize. I missed 2 shows. I had a little bit of an issue. I had a skin problem going on, and I took a medicine, and when I took the medicine actually got me constipated, and it was such a horrible 3 days for me. 4 days, I ended up in the hospital. I'm okay. I know you're worried. I could feel the concern coming through the screen, coming through the pipes here. I can feel people concerned out there. I just want you to know I am okay. Don't worry. Okay? I can just take that. I know you got a lot of things going on out there. People are concerned about COVID-19. People are concerned about their family and their friends. And then you found out I was sick, and it went right to the top of the list. Don't worry. Move it back down. You'll be fine. I'm going to be fine. Everyone's going to be okay. Don't worry. There. Now you feel better about that. Now, I did take a little time over the weekend, though, even though I wasn't feeling good, to watch what everybody else watched, which was The Last Dance. Now, there are many things that were learned from this, and I gotta give ESPN a ton of credit here. First of all, the director who put that together did a fantastic job. ESPN did a wonderful job and a genius move by moving this up to where it was. Apparently, it wasn't even supposed to be ready. This thing wasn't supposed to be seen for another 3 to 6 months. And ESPN moved it up on the schedule. They got a hold of the director, and they said, how close are you to being finished? He said, I have episodes 7 and 8 that I'm trying to fill holes for right now. And they said, okay, well, we're going to run this over the course of the next 5 weeks, 2 episodes a week. So you have 4 weeks to finish and make sure we get episodes 7 and 8 on time. And he apparently busted his hump along with his editors and got the job done and did a spectacular job. I mean, what an amazing documentary. By the way, that documenter, the director, is the same guy that did the Andre the Giant documentary a few years ago on HBO, and it was, I mean, just fabulous. It was a smaller documentary, obviously, but oh my God, just a fabulous job. And I really, really want to applaud the guy for doing such an amazing job. I love The Last Dance. there's so many debates out there of what people got from it and what the youth of America is going to get from it and things like that. And there's so many judgments on Jordan of how great he was or how much of a bully he was. And one of the things that I haven't seen mentioned is Michael Jordan is an absolutely neurotic individual. And no one has touched on the fact that he is an insecure, neurotic person. And I don't mean that to be detrimental to Michael's legacy or the person that he is. We all have our issues. I mean, everybody's got something that's going on with them. But he was so neurotic, and it's amazing to me that no one touched on that, and I've never seen anybody actually mention it. People are almost afraid to mention it because I guess maybe it's a level of mental health. But what a strange dude, right? I mean, like, I guess part of that comes from the insecurities that you grew up with, but also, at 21 or 22, people could never understand. I could never grasp that level of not success, but that level of fame. Like, you can't walk outside the first week or two, the first year, it's got to be pretty cool. Well, everyone knows who I am. Every girl wants to be with me. This is amazing. And then you start to realize I can't go outside anymore. I can't leave my room. There's so much pressure on me to be me. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be that guy anymore. And there's the pros of it, which is I live in this big house and I have this great things. And I get to do all these things. And then there's the cons of it, which are nobody wants to leave me alone. And while I've never experienced that level of fame, I did have experiences in my life where I was, at one point I was somewhat known in the town of Hollywood, Florida, Fort Lauderdale. I owned a couple restaurants that were somewhat famous. I was in the newspaper a lot. Previous to that, I'd been in some magazines and things like that. I'd been on ESPN. So I was somewhat well known. I was not nearly what you would consider to be famous or anything like that, but I was a well-known individual, and people would see me in restaurants or see me downtown at like near one of my restaurants. And, it was difficult for me to have a dinner in peace. And I'm not saying there was a line of people. I'm saying that I would be sitting there eating, and I would eat, and I would be eating, and like a person would come over and talk to me, like one. And if you're trying to enjoy yourself with a friend or with a lady friend or your mom's in town or something, and somebody comes over and wants to talk to you and have a conversation with you in the middle of eating, it is quite annoying. And I used to find it incredibly annoying. And there were only certain times that I would eat around my restaurant. And there were a lot of restaurants I liked there, but there were only certain times I would eat around those places because people would always talk to me, and there was no privacy and no freedom. So I wouldn't go to those places too much. I can only imagine what it would be like at that level that is just, so high. And then you deal with, the Michael Jordan level of, as you become more of a, and I always hated this as a business owner, always have that employee or two, a couple managers that would laugh at everything I say or say yes to everything that I suggest. And I just absolutely loathed it. I mean, I loathed it to the 10th power. I can't stand yes people. I can't stand somebody that doesn't have the guts to give me a little pushback. I don't like someone that laughs at all my jokes. And if you're not aware that it's happening around you, even at the smallest level that it was happening to me, if you're not aware that it's happening around you, it could take over your entire persona, take over your life, and that's who you become. You become the guy who thinks he's super funny, and thinks he's super smart, and thinks he has all the answers. And if you have the kind of level of talent as somebody as a Michael Jordan, and you're surrounded by all these yes men, then that's a recipe for absolute disaster. I mean, just total disaster. And I think you saw some of the results of that from watching The Last Dance. And I mean that, I guess, as respectfully as possible. He's one of the greatest athletes of all time. But, more as an observation of The Last Dance, I totally enjoyed it. I thought The Last Dance was very well done. I thought that Jordan came off okay. I felt that Scottie Pippen did not come off well at all. And I'm also very fascinated by Phil Jackson. I would love to see more about Phil Jackson to understand, is he truly that zen, or is it all part of the show that he's putting on? I'm not sure we'll ever find that out about Phil, but it's an interesting dichotomy of what we saw. Now, of course, that is my thing of The Last Dance. I got to talk about something that is funny to me, and I thought it was a cool topic to cover. I got some serious things to go over today, but I thought one of the funniest things that I'd seen in the news as I've been looking around. I'm trying to find out when Major League Baseball is going to start again. Now I'm just like everybody else. I'm itching for some sports for a myriad of reasons. First of all, I love sports. Even if I'm not watching, I enjoy waking up in the morning, looking at ESPN.com, CBSSports.com, Barstool Sports, anything to find out what happened last night. What did I miss? What happened? Is there any great storyline? Who won? Who lost? Things like that. And I miss it. Like the rest of the world, I actually miss it. And I'm looking online the other day, and I'm trying to find out something about Major League Baseball, which is that's absolutely agitating the hell out of me what they're doing. I appreciate the fact that they don't want to play. I appreciate that it could be a safety issue. If it is a safety issue, and you feel unsafe, then you shouldn't play. To me, it is one of those things. Well, there's no hesitation in football so far. There doesn't seem to be hesitation in basketball as they're putting together their deal. The baseball players are hesitating with the story being that they're worried about their health. It is literally probably the safest sport that you can play as far as being at a social distance. I throw the ball at you. You're that far away. Maybe there's some interaction on the bases and things like that, but they're pushing out the fact that it's going to be a safety issue when the baseball players themselves are publicly saying that the problem is money. You have famous baseball players making $7 million a year normally who are saying, if I have to play a shortened season and I'm only going to make $2.5 million, I will not play. And that's something we're going to talk about later in the show. That's the serious side of sports. But this what we're going to talk about right here is not the serious side of sports. This is, let me hit this slide. This is the fun side of sports to me. South Korea has opened up baseball. They've opened up some other things along the way. They're having some decent luck over there. They weren't hit as badly with the virus as a lot of other places. And they've just decided that they're going to start playing soccer. And there was a huge outrage. We have cancel culture here in America. Well, apparently they have it in South Korea as well. And people are complaining that they put people, quote unquote people, they put people in the stands to make it look like there were people there. And some of the people are cardboard cutouts, while others, somebody had the great idea to dress up sex dolls and put them in the stands with, with face masks on, like surgical masks, and like dressed like cute little Korean girls, and they're cheering. They're in like cheering positions, and everyone thought it was cool until somebody looked a little closer and said, "Oh my God, those are sex dolls." And I find this to be incredibly hilarious to me. I mean, I must be the only one laughing, because South Korea, they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry. We can't believe we did that. That was such a huge mistake." No, it wasn't. That is funny. That is hilarious. That's classic. I mean, come on. And you know what? There's a good side and a bad side to using these sex dolls. First of all, the good side is this. It looks like there's some people in the stands. Like there's some depth besides a cardboard cutout. So it's not a terrible idea to do it. The bad downside is I believe from the look of these look like the same kind of sex dolls that I saw in an article about a year or two ago that are running like $5,000 or $6,000 a piece. So it's not exactly cheap. But, who doesn't want to play sports and have hot rubber girls cheer for them? I mean, come on. That's what, as I can only speak for men, but as a man, when you're young and you play sports because it's fun, it's exciting, it's a little bit of adrenaline, it's competition against your friends, and you're really hoping, really hoping that a girl sees you do it. So you're like, oh, wow, he's cute. Look at him. Look how he runs. Oh, wow, he's really strong. Well, here you go. The Asians are always a little backwards sexually anyway. So South Korean soccer team uses sex dolls in the seats. Again, we're on YouTube for the first time. Like this video if you are enjoying anything that we're doing. And I'd love to hear your comments in the section below. Tell me what you think about South Korea using sex dolls in their stands. Should we do it in America? Let us know. All right, now I did go into some of the details of what was going on with Major League Baseball and some of the financial issues that they're dealing with. Now, the players, baseball jumped the gun in March. So baseball is partially to blame for this. Baseball jumped the gun in March and said, listen, we're going to have to modify the finances going forward because we're not going to be able to start on time. And this is the deal that we're going to make with you. So the baseball owners made this proposition. The baseball union accepted it. And then things went to hell and they closed the world. And, there's an opportunity now where they may not get a chance to play baseball at all. So the only way it's going to work is if the baseball players and the baseball owners can come together with some type of deal. Now, the owners sat down and said, listen, we've never had a cap. There is no cap. We just, everyone plays what they can afford. Each team has their own separate cap. The Yankees pay $260 million a year for their cap. The Pittsburgh Pirates have a $40 million payroll. So it's always different from team to team. So it's usually based on revenue, the amount of revenue they bring in, obviously. So when you look at it and you look at it from a player standpoint, you promised me that I was going to make X amount of dollars. Then you asked me to make a deal from that. And I took the deal. And now you want to make the deal again. So I understand from the player's standpoint that there is a you feel like you've been lied to or you feel like you were misled. But I also see it from the owner's standpoint of saying, I made that deal with you in good faith, understanding that we were going to try to make a change that was beneficial for all of us so that we can all maintain the ability to open up and not lose revenue as an organization, and you would not lose a paycheck as the year went on. We did not realize that we were going to be put under these limitations of, oh, wow, you can't play baseball too far into November because it starts to snow. There's a possibility. So we have to condense the season from 162 games to 81 games or 82 games. I think that's what they were talking about, 82 games. We have to condense it to 82 games. And we have to figure out a way to not even make money this year. We just don't want to lose money. We want to keep our brand active. We don't want our brand to die for a year while the NBA and NFL can figure out a way to stay alive. We want to maintain our positioning in the market. And we want you to make another deal, another concession. And the concession that we're offering you, and this is from the owners, the concession that they're offering the players is a 50-50 split of revenue. Now, keep in mind that there is no gate revenue. No gate revenue. There's only the television contracts that they'll share with them. Now, the players said, no, we don't want to do that. So there's a graphic. For those of you that are home listening on the podcast, you can't see this, but for those of you on YouTube, there's a graphic on the screen right now that you can see. And the graphic tells you what each team would lose if they stayed with the same deal right now and were unable to put fans in the stands. Now, we will assume that this year there will be no fans in the stands. We will assume that this virus is so deadly and so terrible that they are going to continue on the path they're on right now and say, you cannot have fans in the stands at all this year. If the New York Yankees had to stay with this path and were unable to put fans in the stands this year, they would lose $312 million in 2020. That is a business that would lose $312 million in 2020. Now that they are by far number one on the list. But if you want to get like what a quote unquote normal team, would lose, look at the Washington Nationals. They would lose $166 million. The San Diego Padres, $172 million. These are tremendous losses that a company cannot endure. So they're in a position right now where if the players try to maintain the fact that they're not going to give in and they're not going to make a deal, that the owners are going to be stuck and they're going to have no choice but to not have a season. And then I'm going to guess there'll be some legal action as the players try to say, well, you promised us our money, and the owners are going to point back to a clause that says, well, it also said in the case of a natural disaster, and this virus would fall under a natural disaster, and the owners and the players will say, well, that's not a natural disaster. It's going to go on and on. There's also all sorts of talking heads on television trying to make the case that NFL owners, Major League Baseball owners, and I guess in doing so, it would also imply that your employer at home would be liable if you were to catch the virus at work. And I say, and maybe I speak this from the position of a former, large business owner. I have a couple employees now. It's not such a big deal. They can work at home for the things we do. It's all digital. So, but I think this from the attitude of a former business the business owner. And I would say, no, I'm not liable if you come to work and catch the flu. That's a virus. What is the difference between that virus and this virus? And I'm not talking statistically. I'm talking theoretically. If you come to work and get sick at work while I'm paying you to be at work, then you are on your own. So I don't see how that becomes an issue where the owner has to now become liable. If you think differently, leave a comment in the section below, of course, and don't forget to hit the like button. We're new to YouTube, and we're trying so hard to get the algorithm to work in our favor. So apparently you need 40 or 50 videos before anything works in your favor. So if you happen to stumble upon this video, interact, click, become part of it. So that's kind of where we're at here. And I think I worry, and some of this worry comes from a personal standpoint. I worry that we're at an impasse and we're not going to be able to make our way through it. I worry that we're at and by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, this statistic that you see, this graphic, I borrowed this from Forbes magazine. It's a great article in Forbes. You can go check it out about some of these details. I'm not actually talking about the details they talked about in Forbes because it was an okay article, but I didn't think it went in depth enough. But I did love the graphic, so I took the graphic and I put it up here. So just want to give Forbes a shout out. Forbes, what's up, yo? Anyway, so there's a lot of issues to get through, and we need to get through it to the other side. For those of you that have followed me on the podcast and understand what it is I do, I'm a sports trader. I trade sports like you trade stocks. Baseball is one of my biggest markets. Last year, my investments out of baseball for the entire year were 240%, I believe. 217%, I'm sorry. I'm off. 217% profits. I was able to do that throughout the course of the year using several systems that I call the score metric system of baseball. There's like 6 different systems. It's a diversified investment system that's built just like an investment system, but it's used inside of baseball. It uses back-tested historical data to actually generate huge profits for me and for the people that I've actually taught the system to. And without the system, without the season actually working, without the season actually going on, that's a market that I would not be able to participate in. So I am cheering like crazy for this market to open up and for these players and owners to be able to make a deal. Let's make a deal. Now, we talked earlier about The Last Dance, and I think one of the things that hasn't been talked about enough, not nearly enough, that hasn't been talked about nearly enough, in my opinion, is who's better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? I mean, why is that not a topic? All right, that was some sarcasm. Obviously, everybody talks about that, but I found this really cool chart online. I thought it'd be something cool to talk about today since there's no real sports. Let's enter the debate of who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan, but let's enter it on with these statistics instead of real statistics. So better offensive player, most of the country, 65% of the world thinks that Michael Jordan is a better offensive player than LeBron James, and I would have to agree with that. 59% of the world thinks that Michael Jordan was a better defensive player than LeBron. And I would, I don't know about that one. That one's tough. LeBron can lock a player down. LeBron can guard almost every position on the floor, and Michael could guard a two guard, maybe guard a small forward. But and Michael Jordan never had to take on the best player as a defender on the other team. Scottie Pippen always did that. There was always Dennis Rodman did it. So Michael never had to do that. Michael could be the second or third defensive stopper on his team and be very good at it, be great at it, but never had to be the guy who had to work both sides of the court. And I would say LeBron has had to do that. Better passer, Michael Jordan by 59% is absolutely hogwash. Hogwash. I've had the pleasure of watching Michael Jordan play live. I've had the pleasure of seeing LeBron James on countless occasions whenever I was living in Miami play live, and LeBron sees the whole floor. LeBron, to me, appears to look to pass first and then will score when the option to pass is not available. And that is something that you would never see out of Michael Jordan. I've only seen Jordan play once live, but I've seen him on television many times, and I've just got to say that really wasn't his thing. Preferred teammate, 63% of people say that Michael Jordan was probably a better preferred teammate. Again, that's subjective. I would say that there are a lot of people that enjoy playing with LeBron just as well. Better clutch performer, absolutely Michael Jordan at 74%. Choice to take the last shot, 76% say they would rather have Michael Jordan take the last shot. Now, a lot of that's going to come down to the history and the way it's written. And the way the history is written is we see the highlights of how good a player is. You have seen LeBron James miss shots in the clutch. Michael Jordan has also missed shots in the clutch. You're just not seeing them. You're seeing the greatness. And there will be a time whenever you'll be able to step away from this and we'll be able to look back at LeBron's career, and there will be a much deeper question over who was greater, because you will be able to look in real time. Who was greater? Was it LeBron or was it Michael Jordan? And when you're just looking at highlights, when you're just looking at the best of what a player can do, LeBron is going to come way up on that scale, and he is going to catch up to Michael Jordan that way. When you're watching a career happen, Kobe Bryant retired from the NBA and was never part of the conversation again for some reason. And he was an amazing player, but LeBron had stolen the Kobe thunder. Kobe was the closest like Mike, and LeBron showed up and everyone was like, oh, LeBron's like Mike. When in reality, the truth is Kobe and Mike are just so similar. That should have been the comparison forever. And LeBron should have been compared to a Larry Bird or another small forward. But, we want to have the comparison of LeBron versus Jordan, and that's what people want. Who was more amazing? I mean, who knows who was more amazing on that one? I guess it was Jordan. Who knows? That's not even a fair one either. More likely to win one-on-one, I would say, and against each other, this is a tough one too, because while Michael Jordan was probably a better, quicker athlete because of his size, LeBron is just such a big individual, and he's not a slacker as far as being an athlete. Quick feet, bigger body. I would say one-on-one that LeBron may actually wear Michael out. So I don't think it's 65-33. That's my opinion. The last couple of things on here, I want to go over these because I think these are important, and these are what make the difference between Michael and LeBron, even in real time. Positive impact off the court, LeBron James, 38%. And that is simply because LeBron James is fake. And I'm a fan of LeBron James's game. I loved when he came to Miami. My businesses were, as a byproduct of LeBron James, my businesses made a ton of money. As a product of LeBron James, I was able to appear on ESPN, Good Morning America, the NBA channel. I'll talk about that one day. It'll be a great story I'll share with everybody. But so I'm not a fan of LeBron James. I am a huge fan of LeBron James. But I live in a realistic world, and I know that when I see LeBron James do something, it is completely and totally fake all the time. Those videos that ESPN were showing for a while of LeBron James having Taco Tuesday with his family, singing Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, it was completely and totally contrived. So contrived, LeBron is so detached from reality and so contrived of an individual that after he did that and he got a little bit of like, oh, people got excited because LeBron said Taco Tuesday, he tried to copyright the words Taco Tuesday. Yeah, LeBron, because you made those up. So positive impact off the court, I think it's 90% Michael and 10% LeBron. I do appreciate the fact that LeBron invested a lot of money, or didn't invest, donated a tremendous amount of money to some schools in the area that he came from. That is great. That's a stand-up way to do it. But if you're looking at overall positive impact off the court, you would go, I would say Michael Jordan all the way. But again, there is still that level of time now. We've seen Michael Jordan over the last 20 years, and he has maintained that ability to be that positive person off the court. Better look. People seem to like Michael Jordan's look better. LeBron would probably have done better with his look if he didn't have that stupid beard. I have no idea. He's like, again, he's trying to be James Harden. You don't need to be James Harden. You need to be LeBron James. You don't need a beard. Shave the beard. Be be yourself, grow a goatee, be your own original person. Try that for a minute, LeBron. Better signature sneakers. 79% to Michael Jordan. How is this not 100%? I had the first pair of Nike Airs. Maybe I had the second pair. This is pre-Jordan. This is how old I am. I had the second pair of Nike Airs. They were literally the most comfortable shoes I ever wore in my whole life. They had this air technology that were so comfortable that they were ridiculous. Michael Jordan, they made the first pair of Air Jordans, which were, to me, the ugliest shoes I had ever seen in my whole life. They were the same color as Chicago Bull uniforms. They went with nothing. They matched nothing. They were just terrible shoes, in my opinion. And they took the air technology out of them. People never talk about this. They took the air technology out of them, and they still sold billions of copies, billions of pairs of those shoes. And Air Jordan is a style. That the Jumpman, it's got its own little thing. It's got it's such a big difference. I think it's 100% to 0% for better signature style, fashion, and sneakers. And the last thing, better signature sneaker performance. I've never worn LeBron's sneakers, and I haven't put on a pair of Air Jordans since the first ones because they were so terrible. So I cannot possibly measure in on this, but the world says the Jordans are 77% and LeBron's are only 23%. If you have a difference of opinion of any of these things, leave the opinion in the comment section below. And don't forget to like the video. I got to start saying that more. I read this whole thing about the YouTube algorithm and how it works. And I gotta get better at it, When you really read about the YouTube algorithm, they talk about people watch the video. Imagine 10 people watch the video and only one hits like. So the video gets a lower ranking. So you have to constantly remind people, hey, do me a favor and like the video. Go back and like all the videos. Just go back as much as you can, like a bunch of videos. And the more people that like the videos, then the more people they send you inside the algorithm so that they can see your video. It's a strange thing, but whatever. Listen, we're going to wrap up this show with what I think is a great story, and it's a little peek into who people really are. So, you talk about certain players out there that are doing charitable things, and I think that's amazing. If you can spend your time, your energy, or your finances to try to improve somebody else's life, whether it's a big or small, like a single person or a group of people, I think that's the best thing in the world. When you do it and you ask for publicity, I always find that to be a little bit odd. So, are you doing it, or are you doing it just to get attention? So, I own several businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses, and we would donate a little bit of money along the way to try to help people. I never tried to do it in a way that was a way that people would see it and think that we were trying to get attention. I always felt that was in poor taste. So when I see athletes do it, I always think, oh my God, please do something nice. You have so much money. Do you need the credit for it too? You get credit for everything you do. You're a baseball player. You get a hit, 1 out of every 3 times, and you get a lot of credit. That without 1 out of every 4, you're getting a ton of credit, and you need more credit because you're donating your time. Just go and do it. Just do a good thing. You don't need to advertise it on your social media and things like that. And there are so many nice players out there that do nice things. And some of them are just never talked about. Now, if you don't know who I'm going to talk about next, you should really look up Chad Johnson. Chad Johnson was a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. He played for the Patriots. I believe he played for the Dolphins. He played a couple different places. But mainly he was a Cincinnati Bengal. Johnson was one of the most talented receivers of his era, in my opinion. Just an absolute freak of nature. Not from a physically gifted standpoint, not that he wasn't physically gifted, he was, but just from the way he worked, the way he really ran his routes, Chad Johnson was amazing. And he made himself even better. He made himself a much higher profile and made himself a lot of money because he would do nothing but talk. And he was great at self-promotion. At one point, he changed his name to Ocho Cinco, which was his number in Spanish. And he's really, if you look at him on TV, and if you saw him talk on TV at this time, you would think to yourself, well, keep in mind, I'm a Steeler fan too. So when I see a player for another team that I don't like, a team that I don't like, act this way, my first thought is, what a dick. Like, this guy's a jerk, an absolute jerk. And then I had the pleasure of actually meeting Chad on a couple different occasions at an adult cabaret. And Chad was such a nice person, such a gentleman, almost seemed a little bit introverted, very nice, never anything but a really pleasant word for everybody, always smiling, never a problem as far as the customer went. Came in, spent a little bit of money, had a little bit of fun. I don't even think he drank. I think he would just come in, buy everybody a couple drinks, and then he would talk to everybody, and then he would leave. And he had a couple girls there he'd like to hang out with and whatever. But this is actually coming a couple days ago in a place in Miami that Chad Ochocinco went in and had something to eat. And he left. If you can see this on the screen, for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see it on the screen. If you're listening to the podcast, I'll just tell you there is a receipt on the screen for $34.70, $34.40. Sorry, it's a little far away from me. $34.40. And there is is that 37? Oh, I'm sorry, it's $37.40. I apologize. $37.40. And there is a tip for $1,000 on there. So apparently this is a restaurant called Havana's in Miami that had just opened up, back up after the pandemic. Chad must have been craving some Cuban food, and he went in, and now I'm assuming it's Cuban food named Havana's, but I could be wrong, I guess. He went in, he got the food, he left $1,000 tip, and then he wrote on the bottom, he wrote, "Congrats on the reopening. Sorry about the pandemic. Hope this helps. I love you." And then he signed his credit card, and he left $1,000 for maybe the owner, maybe the waitress. But what an incredibly nice, wonderful thing for a guy to do. I don't know Chad's finances. I don't think they're that strong, to be quite honest with you. But it is just such a nice thing to see that a guy like that went in, didn't ask for anybody's help as far as promoting this. He just went in and did it. And then I guess the server or maybe the restaurant actually posted this online saying that Chad Ochocinco came in and did this and didn't ask for a thanks. So because of that, I would feel like even if only one person watched this video and then smashed the like button, even if only one person watched this video or listened to this at home and knew that Chad Johnson did this, I would feel very good. And I'm so grateful that he did this for somebody, whether it's a restaurant owner, and I've owned restaurants before. And let me tell you, if I owned a restaurant right now, when this all went down, I said to my business partner, I said, these places will be lucky if 30 or 40 or 50% don't open again, because restaurants are not built to be closed for 2 or 3 months, even 2 weeks, but it's amazing that he did this. That's really awesome. I love to touch on some really, really nice things along the way, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad you guys got to see this, and I want to thank you so much for listening to this show of the Sports Trader podcast. By the way, I just want to remind everybody again, this show is powered by sportstradingsystems.com. It's a website that I developed around a product that I created called Score Metrics. You can go there right now and read all about it. You can't buy it. It's not available for sale yet, but you can go there and look at it. You could also look at a book that I wrote. It's called The Score Metrics. It's called The Score Metrics Secret. I blanked out there for a second. It's called Zero Correlation Investing, the Score Metrics Secret. It's all about my method of investing, which is based around a brand new market. It's a secret market that isn't really so secret. I've developed an investing system that works with sports. It's not gambling. It just uses back-tested historical data and information. It finds algorithms inside of patterns that we use to exploit by investing inside those algorithms, and the bookmakers can't find it out. We find profits every year upon year upon year upon year. I've back-tested models that show profit after profit after profit. Score Metrics, the idea of sports trading has changed my life personally. I used to own businesses. I used to work my ass off. I used to kill myself at these places. And now I live a life that's actually fairly fun, fairly luxurious. All I do is travel and party around the world. And in between, I do these podcasts, and I also do sports trading. So if you'd like to learn more, go to my website, check it out. I look forward to entertaining you guys a little bit more with this going on. If you like the show, by the way, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Same channel, same place.